All right, I'm on.
All right, let's do.
What is up, guys? You watching the Full Throttle episode number 2? What is up? My name is Danny Aguirre, and of course, I got my co-host with me, Joseph Landy Pavlon, and Amani DePaul. What's up, guys?
How you doing, boys?
Hello.
Yeah. All right, so we have a lot to talk about today. First things first, I just want to say thanks, Amani, for fixing the little technical difficulty we had earlier before I even got started.
Only
But
20 minutes late.
yeah,
That
I
went
know.
better. Hey, it's a lot better than the technical difficulties we'd had with the podcast on Monday.
Oh man. But first things first, I want to let you guys know. Sorry, I haven't been consistent. I've been really busy with work and school, and now that I've gotten that out of the way, I can have more time to make more content for the channel. All right, so what's been happening
Well,
now? The the truck se- the all three series are going to be at Chicagoland tonight. We started with the truck series tonight and going into the Xfinity series and then the Cup series. But first, we want to talk about last night's ARCA race. So, Joseph, let's go on. Let's get into that.
last night's race at Chicagoland Speedway featured 20 cars and a rain delayed start. Of the 100 laps complete, Ty Majeski scores his third win in the last 4 races of his career and also in 2019. This guy is on a roll driving for Chad Bryant Racing, and Ty Majeski is trying to redeem himself after a failed performance with Jack Roush last year in the Xfinity Series. Will this be the return of the iRacing legend?
Now that we've now that Ty Majeski has won his redemption race, can we expect a lot out of him this season?
Is he running the full season?
No.
Yeah, I think
No,
he is.
no, wait, no. I think he's sharing the car with another driver.
I
He's not
think
running
he
full
is.
season.
No, he's not running the full season because
I'll say this: put him in a full-time ARCA season. Put him in that same car, full-time 2020. He'll run for the title.
oh yeah, make him run for the title.
Let's talk about the championship for a moment. ARCA. The top 5 in points is separated only 160. The increments are small.
Oh
30
yeah.
points between Michael Self and Brett Holmes. Brett Holmes is not in one of the best cars, but with the amount of cars in races, anybody can only finish as bad as like 15th, 16th with like these 20 car races we're seeing in ARCA lately. And it's actually helping Brett Holmes. He's only led 4 laps compared to Michael Self's 404. But Michael Self has seen some inconsistency, even though he won last week at Michigan. Oh, wait, excuse me, Gateway.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That rule doesn't apply to ARCA, does it? Where the winner is
well,
disqualified.
no, there's no playoffs, nothing. It's just pure point systems that we've seen in the old NASCAR Winston Cup rules.
Right, and I think it's only changed about time, but we have to see what happens.
I mean, listen, Travis Braden's in third. Christian Eckes, who missed the race because of an illness, is in fourth. He's rebound, still in a very good spot to win the championship. 65 points back.
So that just comes to show you that it's really competitive right now. Coming out of Chicagoland yesterday.
Yeah, 12 races complete. And looking at the 2019 ARCA schedule, there's 6 more races left. Actually, 8.
Yeah, they are 8. Yeah,
Yeah, they've been racing consecutive weeks since Toledo, mind you. They have not had a week off since that Toledo race on May 19th. This is going to be their first week off in ARCA since mid-May. They'll be going to Elko round 13 for the Menards 250 on July 13th.
All right. So now that we've covered the ARCA series, let's jump into what we can expect for tonight's race in the truck series.
The Camping World 225 at Chicagoland Speedway.
All right, Armani, you want to cover that part?
Well, let's see here. Let's give you the rundown. We got Ross Chastain, who is looking to go quote unquote 3 in a row. We got an interesting front row with Austin Hill and Johnny Sauter starting 1-2. Interesting fact, we got the top 3 in the point standings have yet to reach victory lane this season. Actually, a decent amount of storylines heading into this race. Can we see one of the top 3 in the point standings? I believe it's Grant Enfinger, Stuart Friesen, Matt Crafton. Can they score their first wins of the season? Matt Crafton looking to end a winless drought that's lasted for nearly 2 seasons. Stuart Friesen still looking for that first career win. And Grant Enfinger, the points leader, looking to expand on his points lead. Can Johnny Sauter make the points come back after his suspension from Gateway? Can Austin Hill and Johnny Sauter play nice considering they'll be on the front row? There's plenty of storylines heading into this race. Can Ross Chastain continue his magical season? Well, quote unquote magical season. The only blemish is his disqualification from Iowa. There's plenty of storylines heading into the race, especially after last year's finish where Brett Moffitt took the win after John Nemechek ran out of fuel on the final lap. So anything can happen in this race. And let's move on to the picks. I'm picking our points leader, Grant Enfinger, to finally score his first win of the season.
For my pick, I definitely have. I definitely want to pick Grant Enfinger as well, being that he hasn't had a win all year, but his consistency has kept him in that points lead for long. Can tonight be his first night that he gets his first win in the truck series?
Well, you got to remember, the last time he found victory lane in the truck series was at Las Vegas, a very similar track in last season. I believe he's got what it takes to go to victory lane. Grant Enfinger is going to win it tonight. I'm just kidding. His name is Ross Chastain. What do you know? He's going to win in another one. I'm on the bandwagon. Let's go. But yeah, Enfinger has that same chance to win.
But you know what? The thing is that with Ross Chastain, he has been very, very consistently. You've seen it all with 3 wins. Can he get
3
another
victory lane appearances?
Was that
3 times he crossed the line first.
Oh yeah. With also a race where he had that win taken away from him, but he has made a redemption on what we can expect out of him.
If you go back to the Iowa race, if you just play with the shots a little bit, you could just focus on Brett Moffitt and then just make it look like Ross Chastain is a lapped car.
Hey, Brett Moffitt is the defending champion coming into this race. Can we expect something out of him?
Brett Moffitt is also the defending winner of the Chicagoland race.
Exactly. He's looking for 2 in a row. He's also dealing with sponsorship struggles right now. So just like what happened last year when he drove for Shigi Hattori, he's in the same spot where sponsorships are struggling. Can he redeem and win? That would make a statement.
Keep this in mind too. We only have 2 guys in the truck series who have scored in the top 10 out of 12 out of the 13 races, or I believe we are in race 13. Our points leader, Grant Enfinger, and his teammate, Matt Crafton, first and third in the standings. They've only finished outside the top 10 once this season. I believe Grant Enfinger finished 11th in that one race.
All right.
They'll be off after this week, and they'll return for Kentucky afterwards. So they'll get a week off from Daytona when the rest of NASCAR is over there. I'm sure it's a very well-spent week off for sure. They've raced consecutively since Charlotte, I believe, for the trucks.
Oh, yeah. I think they have been going at it since Charlotte.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we covered the truck series or what's gonna happen tonight, make sure you guys catch it on FS1 tonight. But now that we've covered all of that, let's jump into the Xfinity series.
The Camping World 300, the first race on the NBC schedule for the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
I have some interesting stats from the NASCAR Xfinity Series this year. It's come down to 3 drivers, and obviously it's Tyler Reddick versus Christopher Bell versus Cole Custer. This is the first Xfinity Series race back round 15 of 33. So we're almost at the halfway part of the entire championship. Their last race was at Iowa, won by Christopher Bell. Last year's winner of this race was Kyle Larson, not entered. Tyler Reddick is coming into this race with 3 wins, 11 top 5s, and 12 top 10s, while Christopher Bell has 4 wins, 8 top 5s, and 9 top 10s. While Cole Custer is the pole man of the top 3 drivers. He has 3 wins, 8 top 5s, 9 top 10s, and 4 poles.
I
As
think.
far as the laps led is concerned, that's all Christopher Bell.
Oh yeah, Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick. You know, a lot of people have been saying that Tyler Reddick didn't deserve to win the championship because he got what quote unquote lucky. Well, at least we're seeing something out of him now
He didn't
because
get out of luck this year.
he has been very consistent this year. How many wins did he get? Like 3 wins this year
He's
already?
got 3 wins this year compared to his 2 last year. And let me add on something about Tyler Reddick. I still don't think that he's driven phenomenal this year, but I don't think that justifies his 2018. He did not deserve his 2018 championship, in my opinion. However, he's just been phenomenal this year. He has while he may lack slightly, like maybe like just a tad bit of speed compared to Bell and Custer. He has a great advantage of what they don't have, and that's consistency. Think about this: Tyler Reddick has more top 5s than Bell and Custer have in top 10s.
Oh yeah, and that's the what you really have to look at when it comes to Tyler Reddick. So now that we've covered that, who are you guys picks to win on Saturday?
We're looking at what we have on Saturday, though, when it comes to the practice speed from practice 1. Practice 2 is actually happening as we speak, which is currently led by Joey Logano. I think that Justin Allgaier, who has won twice at this track, once driving for the extinct Turner Scott Motorsports in 2011, running out of fuel passing Carl Edwards 8 years ago. And in 2017, back when this race was put into the chase for the Cup, he won that thing. Actually, it was the last race before the playoffs. And found victory right there.
You
I'm
know,
not going to go with Justin Allgaier.
you know, I also got to go with Justin Allgaier because no one has been
I said
mentioning
I'm not going with him.
no one has been mentioning Justin Allgaier this year for some reason, and you know, it's like we don't give him credit. I guess we can say.
He's the unsung hero of the championship right now.
Oh yeah, don't ever cut him out. That's the
Especially
problem.
here. But this is
Don't
what I'll tell you.
right.
I could go with Joey Logano. Sure, he's a Cup Series champion. Sure, he has a lot of experiencing success in Chicagoland and just in general, no matter what car he drives in. But you can't stop Tyler Reddick. He's going to get his 4th win of the year, tying Christopher Bell for most of 2019.
Here's who I'm gonna go with. I'll give you guys an interesting stat. We talked about before, Tyler Reddick, he trumps the column this year in top 5s and top 10s. I'm gonna go with the guy who's second right now in the category top 10s. Chase Briscoe is going to get his first win of the season and his second career win, and his second with Stewart-Haas Racing. And Stewart-Haas Racing's 4th win on the season.
Can they get it done? Because no one has been mentioning Stewart Haas Racing in the Xfinity Series, but the Cup Series, those guys are really looking very, very consistent.
They're inconsistent, but they do have the results.
All right, so now that we covered the picks for the Xfinity Series, let's go straight into the Cup Series. So now we've seen the biggest. Now that we've seen Truex Jr.'s win at Sonoma, can he win again at Chicagoland?
We got plenty of storylines heading into this race. Obviously, the fantastic finish that we saw last year in 2018 between the two Kyles. Will we see that again? How will this new aero package affect the race at Chicagoland? Can Truex go back-to-back for the first time in his career? He's managed to go win, lose a race, then win. He's done that plenty of times, but he's never gone back-to-back. Can he complete it this year? Will Kyle Busch go back-to-back in Chicagoland and extend his and claim back the points lead from Joey Logano? Can the points leader take his first Chicagoland win? There's plenty of storylines heading into this race. What do you guys think we're going to see?
Well, I think, honestly, Kyle Busch and that thriller getting his second Chicagoland victory in 10 years. Yeah, 10 years apart. Kyle Busch may be the easy favorite here because he's got the most wins in the season so far. But I cannot look away from that 19 car. Martin Truex Jr. won 2 of the last 3 Chicagoland races. He went back-to-back in 2016, and in 2017, he blew everybody away. I believe the same can be said without Barney Vischer 78 and with that number 19 car and Truex Jr. getting his 5th win of the season.
I've got to agree with you as well, Joseph. Martin Truex Jr. has really been on a roll this season. And Chicagoland is one of his best tracks. And now that he's with Joe Gibbs, I honestly got a gut feeling that he's going to be a good driver to win on Sunday at Chicagoland. We've all seen what we saw at Chicagoland when he was with Barney Visser and Furniture Row. Now that team is shut down, I think he might be able to do it again with Gibbs.
I don't see any reason why he can't.
Let me guys give you my picks. Truex has actually a pretty decent shot at going back-to-back. He's won at this track before. He won it in back-to-back years in 2016 and his championship season in 2017. But here's an interesting stat. Truex is currently 5th in points. This is only the 3rd time this season he's been in the top 5 in points. Why? Because he's been very, very inconsistent. We've seen it this entire season. Truex will either win, he'll compete top 5, or he'll be completely irrelevant. Let me give you some stats to back my claim up. After he got his first win of the season at Richmond, he finished 20th at Talladega. Then he won at Dover. Then he finished 19th at Kansas. Then he won at Charlotte. Then he got 35th at Pocono. And now he's managed to, bring it back with 2 top 5s, one at Michigan, obviously his win at Sonoma. So maybe Truex is starting to finally put that consistency together. But I think that the consistency is still going to plague him. I got Chase Elliott rekindling that early season magic that he had earlier. He's going to get his 2nd win of the season, his 1st win at Chicagoland. And it seems that ever since his win at Watkins Glen, he's starting to win at tracks that he should have won at in the past. He won at Dover last year after his failure in 2017 being passed by Kyle Busch. Kansas. I think he led the most laps in one of the Kansas races, 16 or 17. I'm not 100% sure. And Talladega, obviously, he's been phenomenal at the restrictor plate tracks. Chicagoland, he should have won the race in 2016 had it not been for a caution on inside 10 laps to go. We could be talking about Chase Elliott as the 2016 winner. So I think that Chase Elliott, he will get his first Chicagoland win, his 2nd win of the season, his 5th career win, and finally get back in the top 5 in points.
Oh, absolutely. Chase Elliott is definitely looking to make a statement this year with the championship. I honestly feel and the way how it looks for me right now, if the playoffs were to start right now, if the playoffs were to start, he would automatically be in the round of 8. Forget the round of 16, forget the round of 12, straight to the round of 8. He would definitely be someone in the round of 8 to make it into the championship for at Miami this year.
He would definitely make the round of 8. If he could just rekindle, if he could just get rid of some of that bad luck that he's been having recently, you can even make a case for him being in the final 4. Currently, our top 4 in points is Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Brad Keselowski. The only thing that's in honestly, the only thing that's really keeping Kevin Harvick up there is the fact that it's not that he's doing all that great. It's just that everyone else behind him has just been having a bunch of inconsistency. Brad Keselowski, he's only finished in the top 10 in half of the races this season. Truex, like I said, with his inconsistency. Hamlin had a horrible month of May, and Chase Elliott, he's been kind of inconsistent so far, like in these last like 3 or so races, and obviously at the beginning of the season.
All right. So now that we've covered the Cup Series, let's go international and talk about the Supercar Series that's been happening in Australia. As you guys may know, Scott McLaughlin has been on a roll this year. He really has. And the next race is Townsville, the Townsville 400 on July 6th and 7th. So
We got
DJ,
another week.
DJ on Team Penske has been really doing a superb job this year with Scott McLaughlin. And I honestly gotta say, with Fabian Coulthard, can we see him get his first win?
He already won this year. It was
Oh,
it was
oh,
at the Perth race.
oh,
Yeah, race 1 at Perth.
oh! I honestly totally forgot about that. But now, and also, today is James Courtney's birthday. So happy birthday, James Courtney! If you're watching this, we want to wish you a happy birthday. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and hope you do very, very well this year. So now that we have covered all of that, the WEC series, or should I say the IMSA series, the 6 hours at the Glen.
6 hours at the Glen is back in. This is the first IMSA sanctioned sports car event since last month at Belle Isle in Detroit. And as for the LMGTs, this is their first race since Mid-Ohio in May. And they are coming from the Nürburgring 24 hours. The majority of these drivers and teams are in their third of a 3-week trilogy of endurance racing.
Oh yes, because many of you guys don't know, endurance racing is an absolutely brutal experience, especially with a 24-hour race. Do you have any time to catch your body
Yeah.
and
Some of these guys, like Jurgen Bleekemolen, Ranger Van der Zandt, can I name another one? I think Tristan Vautier.
right?
These guys, how do they? I don't know. I'm not a race car driver, but to go from 2 24-hour
Really,
races
it makes you say that.
in the last 3 weeks and end up in a 6-hour race at Watkins Glen, maybe this race just feels like nothing compared to the other 24-hour races. But at least for them, they will get some time off after this event to reset before the next event comes for sports car racing. And you got to remember, when it comes to endurance sports car racing, it's not really by one sanctioned racing league. It's ran by specific races that the teams choose to enter. Sure, the championship's important regardless of where you go, but that's usually the priority doesn't revolve around one specific series for everybody. So they're
Right.
active, and it's not like these IMSA guys were just sitting there doing nothing for the last 3-4 weeks. And especially when you come from the 24 hours of law like this GTLM team, there is a battle in hand for the GTLM class. The 912 Porsche is 7 points ahead of the number 3 Corvette in the team championship. So, not really has Corvette had things to smile about this year. This is certainly one of their lower sides that we've seen from them in the last several years, but this could be something worth being excited for. If you're a Corvette fan, Watkins Glen usually fares out well for them. So that's something to look out for. Now, as for GTD, the number 86 Meyer-Shank Racing Acura NSX is 4 points over the number 12 Ambassador Sullivan Lexus, and I think 6 points ahead of the number 14 Lexus. So got two Lexuses chasing their arch rival brand, and it's not just in the racetrack that these two companies clash against one another. It's on the streets and in the factories themselves.
Oh, absolutely. So that's definitely going to be an
Toyota
interesting rivalry to see.
Toyota versus Honda, long lasting. And then for DPI, let's talk about DPI.
Yes. Let's jump right into that.
The Whelen number 31 Cadillac sits 5 points against the Acuras from Penske. So they are getting tag teamed by two Acuras for Team Penske. And the number 6 is ahead by 1 over the number 7 Acura. That's the Dane Cameron Juan Montoya machine. The number 7 is Ricky Taylor, Elio Castroneves, the two primary drivers for the car. And I'll have to check the entry list, but I believe for a 6-hour race, there's a third man in for this event.
All right. So now that we've covered that, is there any other subject that we should touch up on?
Formula One, let's talk about that. They are
Yes.
in Austria for round 9 of the 2019 World Championship for the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring and Spielberg. Formula One in
I've
their
honestly got to say, Lewis Hamilton has really been on a dominant role this year with coming back, winning the championship this year. Well, actually, let me not even get into that yet.
Well, not the championship. I have the standings in hand right here. Right now, Lewis Hamilton leading. He's got 187 points to his name this year. Bottas, his teammate, who actually had an incident, a pretty big crash in practice 2 today, is sitting with 151 points behind. So Lewis Hamilton's already walking out of this hunt with it in the bag as long as he keeps it up. There's no reason why he shouldn't win this championship at this point of the season. But then the dip is real. You go from 151 points to 111 points, where Sebastian Vettel sits 3rd in the World Championship with no wins and 4 podiums compared to Bottas's 2 wins and 7 podiums. Lewis Hamilton has gone perfect this year on the podium appearances, but Mercedes is perfect in the season. The question can finally be asked now. In 2016, they did not win twice, despite the two drivers, Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, clashing for the championship that Nico eventually won with. Mercedes was unable to get a perfect season, winning every race. They had both cars wreck in the Spanish Grand Prix, resulting in Max Verstappen winning his first career race. And the other event was in Malaysia, where they had mechanical problems, and Daniel Ricciardo found the victory. This year, however, they are still unstoppable. They've been unstoppable since the U.S. Grand Prix of last year when Kimi Räikkönen got that win for Ferrari. Now, can they complete the next 11 races flawless?
And that's going to be a lot of pressure to think about that question. So if you are the principal of Mercedes AMG, that's the question you might want to be asking yourself right now.
Or shouldn't you not be focused on it? Don't think about it.
Right.
Just let it happen on its own.
And also with Ferrari and the usage of team orders, I'm glad I'm not even bringing up Ferrari this year because, as you all saw with China, it's just gone south for me. And also with Reynolds' win getting stripped away from him at Canada, what's there to really say about it anymore?
Here's what I gotta say. What they can do right now, and sorry if I interrupted you, Armani, but
I haven't said anything.
Ferrari, I think the best thing they can do is start playing for next year because it's pretty safe to say the World Championship's out of reach. Charles Leclerc has 3 podiums. That's it. And many thought he should have won that Bahrain Grand Prix. I agree as well. And for Sebastian Vettel, no wins and 4 podiums, 111 points. Many people think Vettel should have had the win in Canada. I agree too. So it's not like they're out of reach. It's just they got some management issues that need to be cleared up. I think they are past due to change their old ways of team orders. I feel like they're putting Charles Leclerc in an iffy position.
Now, I honestly gotta say, if you were Charles Leclerc, the question should be after the season: should I stay with Ferrari, or should I go because you're using team orders against me to keep Sebastian Vettel as the main priority driver in that camp?
Dan, I don't see him leaving though. I think personally, this is Charles Leclerc. This is where he belongs. He's been through the program, been through the system. It shouldn't change. I think this year, depending on how long Vettel's going to stay in Ferrari for, that I have no idea about. But the way they've been performing, I don't know if he wants to stay there any longer. Like I said, I don't work in the contracts department, so I can't have a say-so on that. But
yeah, I think nobody really can.
There's a team right now that I think the big 3 teams in F1 are clearly Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull. In fact, about the constructor standings, let me just get into that for a little bit. About the constructor standings, as of 8 races complete so far, Mercedes is walking out of this thing 200 points to their advantage. They have 338 points claimed, 200 over Ferrari, and 137 points claimed for Red Bull. 40 points for McLaren, Renault with 32, Racing Point with 19, tied with Alfa Romeo. Toro Rosso, 17 points. Haas with 16, and Williams with a big, fat 0. And back to teams and Formula One this year. Red Bull is really making me worried, even though they're heading into their home race in Austria, which Max Verstappen won last year.
I think the question.
The hot seat, dude.
I think the question should be: can we step up our performance? Can we really do it?
Here's what every team is lacking besides Mercedes: consistency. Ferrari has only had 2 races where they actually looked like they can win. Red Bull, They've been really non-existent. Granted, you could say it's because they're still, working, little gripes with the Honda engine, but Verstappen has really been the only one to really do anything. Pierre Gasly, like he's basically a third Toro Rosso car at this point. And then obviously we already know the gap between, third between the top three and the midfield. I mean, they don't call Formula 1.5 for nothing when we talk about best of the rest.
Right.
So, I mean, I said before the French Grand Prix, if Ferrari could keep the speed that they had at the Canadian Grand Prix, then I could see them making, at least giving Mercedes, maybe at least a drop of sweat. Charles Leclerc, he finished where he started. He finished third, but it's like they never really took the fight to Mercedes. So I don't see it like Ferrari. They lack consistency. Red Bull, I mean, you could give them a slack for this season because they're still working the Honda, but at the same time, at this point, I don't even see Pierre Gasly making.
There's no exception. No exception on Gasly's part.
I don't see Gasly making the entire season. I truly think that, like, if we're at
Danny Kvyat got booted out of the team in 2016, and literally the race right after they won with their newest driver, Max Verstappen.
So I think you really have to look at it as from a consistency standpoint, because that's what's going to make it work.
I got a question, and I know a lot of people still. I think I know who I'd replace Gasly with if he's got to go, which I think he may have to at this point. Who replaces him and why?
I mean, the top choice is obviously going to be Alexander Albon, but at the same time, it's like he's a rookie. So it's like, when was the last time we've really seen a rookie in this kind of equipment? Yeah, Max Verstappen, but it's like Max Verstappen, I believe, was in his sophomore season in Formula One after doing 1 year in Toro Rosso. If anything, here's what I see. Unless Gasly goes on a tear somehow, some way, he's gone by 2020. He's not going to be in that Red Bull seat.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, maybe I could see them putting Alexander Albon in, but I think if they want to play it safe, I honestly don't see why they don't put Danny Kvyat back in the ride.
Here's the thing, though. Danny Kvyat is just an iffy driver. In my opinion, he did not do what Red Bull expected him to do, especially in those times when you had Daniel Ricciardo, who was just unbelievably great when he drove for them, and at one point was the lead driver for the team.
Right.
Yeah, my one thing about Albon is just he's a rookie. I don't know if they want to take a chance of putting a rookie in that kind of equipment when, Pierre Gasly in his sophomore season is performing the same like he did at Toro Rosso. So that's why I'm thinking they might put Kvyat in the car just for experience-wise. So it's like, okay, he's got a little bit more experience. He's matured as a driver a little bit. So let's give him just like a second shot, at least for this half of the season. And then we'll put Albon in the car the next season.
My take on Albon, though, is he did claim 7 points, and many people actually looked away from Alexander Albon when they were talking about Toro Rosso. But I personally think he's got what it takes, even now, if they were to put him in the Red Bull. Yeah, I know it's his rookie year, but I think he's ready. But believe it or not, there's another team, Formula One, that I've really irked at, especially since they're second to last in constructors, claiming only 16 points this year total. That is Haas. Haas F1, I feel like Grosjean is due to leave the team. There's got to be a new driver for Haas F1 sooner or later. Grosjean has gained 2 points. 2 points this year. And Kevin Magnussen, on the other hand, 14.
So we really have to look at it. Where does Grosjean go after this year?
Here's what I gotta say.
Right.
The question is who replaces Grosjean, and I think a lot of people will call me hypocritical for saying this, but this guy won the F2 championship last year. I'm talking about George Russell. I think George Russell could help not only Haas, but himself. He's driving for the most struggling team in all Formula One by far, Williams. Literally, you look at the Constructors' Championship. Haas has 16 points so far.
Right.
Williams has not even won. They can't even have the speed to pass any other constructor out there besides themselves.
Exactly. And
And
they're really
I'm talking about lap times. I'm talking about lap times, and I'm disregarding all penalties, all grid penalties that resulted in them qualifying ahead of other non-Williams cars this year.
right.
And it's been like that since the U.S. Grand Prix of last year.
And it just goes to show that they really, really are struggling in the constructors championship.
Here's the thing, though. This ain't Robert Kubica's fault.
Right.
Robert Kubica, yeah, I know he's nowhere near his prime anymore, and his first F1 season in 11 years, or actually 10 years, huh? But Kubica was a test driver for them for the last year and a half. And not to mention, regardless, it's nothing on his fault, nothing on his bad end of the stick that they are this slow. If George Russell, if a Formula 2 champion from last year is not going this fast, it's the car, clearly.
Here's where I'm going to make a little bit of argument towards how some of it could be Kubica. I saw an interesting stat. I don't remember the specific numbers, but it was where the drivers were running for Williams on a weekly basis, like averaging out. George Russell would run around, it was like 15.76. So he'd run about the 15th to 16th position about every race. Robert Kubica would run around like the 17. It was like either 17 or 18.8. So he'd run between 17th to 19th every race. And I've been saying this for a while. His hand injury is clearly hindering him. Going back to Romain Grosjean, I think that I honestly think that he'd be a much better pick than Robert Kubica. Because while Robert Kubica has experience, this is his first full F1 stint in 11 years. Romain Grosjean, he's inconsistent, but he has at least that experience. He's been in these cars longer. Well, not longer, but more.
Okay, Armani. I think, in all honesty, I know sticking ball sports reference right here, but
how dare you?
Williams and Haas need a trade, some kind of way to trade Grosjean for Russell. George Russell would really get Haas points. I'm a believer on that.
Oh yeah.
And many people are like, well, but Haas is not a good team. Do you not know how many points Kevin Magnussen has claimed this year? He's so far claimed 14 points. Those 14 points didn't happen for nothing. I'm a believer.
I could see Russell going to yeah, but like I said, Williams, if they are going to get rid of any of them, I don't think any of those drivers will be back in the seat next year, in all honesty.
Oh yeah.
Kubica, it's a feel-good story to see him back in an F1 seat, but if I had to choose between Kubica or Grosjean, I'd honestly pick Grosjean because this isn't 2009. The cars are completely different. And yeah, Kubica's had a couple test sessions here and there, but it's like, what would you take more as experience to help develop your car? Full seasons in the closest you can get to these cars, like the regulations and stuff like that, or
go on, finish your point.
Or, like a driver who hasn't completed a season in 11 years and just done a couple test sessions here and there with an injury that's clearly hindering him when his rookie teammate is outperforming him.
You're right, but sorry to interrupt.
Right.
But in the Canadian Grand Prix, we had Nicholas Latifi drive Robert Kubica's car for some laps, and I think it was first practice in Montreal. That happened, of course, not too long ago, 2 races ago.
Right.
And he's starting an F2 racer. Could we see him drive for Williams?
It's a possibility.
Right.
I guess it really just depends. But like I said, I don't see any of those 2 drivers going back next year to Williams.
Oh yeah, because
I do see Grosjean staying in F1, but I don't see him staying with Haas. So I think that Grosjean will go to Williams, and I don't know if Williams would want. Here's the thing: what about Esteban Ocon? Because remember, Toto Wolff said last year that Esteban Ocon will have a seat in 2020. I don't think Williams, after 2018, where they had a sophomore driver and a rookie driver, and this season where they have a veteran, but you could technically put quotations on that because he hasn't completed an F1 season over a decade, and a rookie. I think that Williams would rather have someone who's experienced with these cars,
with more recent F1 cars,
and more recent F1 cars, and a driver who's only been out of the seat for one season. I think that honestly be the best solution for Williams at this point than going with another rookie.
Cars need an upgrade.
Oh yeah, the cars need an upgrade.
That's
of course,
the first step to any of this.
Of course, they need to stop qualifying last on the. They need to stop qualifying shotgun on the grid.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about the history of the Austrian Grand Prix. When we come to the Red Bull Ring, here's some facts that I have written down. Of the return of this track since 2014 of the last 5 races, they have been won by Mercedes 4 times and once by Red Bull. Max Verstappen claimed victory last year. 2 years ago was Valtteri Bottas. 3 years ago was Lewis Hamilton, that controversial finish against his teammate Nico Rosberg. And Nico Rosberg, who claimed the win in the return race in 2014 and back-to-back in 2015. So Mercedes has won 4 of the last 5 races, and they have a really good shot to go on with 6. But that crash that Bottas suffered in practice 2, will that hinder him as well? We'll have to find out. But here's some other facts that we know for the Austrian Grand Prix. Most wins, Alain Prost with 3, 1983, 1985, 1986. 5 drivers have won twice. Ronnie Peterson, Alan Jones, Mika Hakkinen, Michael Schumacher, and Nico Rosberg. So, of the current constructors in F1, 3 have found victory. The most with Mercedes of 7, 5 with Ferrari, and 3 with Renault vehicles. All right, so I got one last question for F1 here, and this one's a pretty good one. Antonio Giovinazzi is not scored a single point this year. He's the only non-Williams driver at this point that hasn't done it so far. And Kimi Räikkönen, a veteran driver who just left Ferrari, in this case, the Rubens Barrichello 2.0, I guess. Actually, Rubens Barrichello 3.0, if you want to talk about Felipe and Massa.
Oh, boy.
But, I mean, it's funny how Kimi Räikkönen once won them. Their last championship was with him in 2007.
Right.
And yet they brought it back like he was nothing like that. Like he was nothing.
And that's really an eyebrow raiser right there.
Well, that's because Schumacher was the guy that he replaced.
Oh, yeah.
So he was just in that same role. But I'm not trying to devalue Schumacher either. But let's see the points.
Have we given our picks for Austria?
No, we haven't. So, what are your guys' picks?
I'm going with Lewis Hamilton. I don't see why he doesn't go 5 in a row. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I've lost faith in this season, so Lewis Hamilton's going 5 in a row.
He's just unstoppable, man. He'll get his 7th win this year. He'll keep Mercedes alive. This is the Lewis season. It's Lewis Hamilton mania. It's Mercedes mania. And you know what? They're going to keep on going. I'm sorry, Ferrari, but wake up. I picked Sebastian Vettel the last 2 races, and none of them have come to fruition, even though one of them should have in Montreal. But still, I'm on the Lewis Hamilton train. You will be hearing God Save the Queen once again for the 9th time this year. No, 7th time this year. And it's 9th on the podium. 9th straight on the podium.
Right.
How about a dark horse? Let's talk about a dark horse pick, and that's Max Verstappen.
At this point, anyone who isn't a Mercedes is a dark horse.
Oh yeah, anyone who is driving a Mercedes car.
You can even make a very good argument that anyone who isn't Hamilton is a dark horse because both have these cooled off.
Oh yeah, because Mercedes has been dominant because of Hamilton.
I'm afraid that Bottas might slither into the second driver of the team position.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think if Bottas stays second in the championship, like unless he completely falls off the pace and starts putting up 2018 drives, I don't think that they'll go back to the whole second driver thing because I don't think the Mercedes would want to sacrifice second in the standings.
Oh yeah.
I think a Mercedes had to choose between keeping Bottas second in the standings versus using him as the driver number 2, to like block Vettel or whatever and sacrifice him going 3rd or 4th. I don't think they do that.
Yeah, it's not like Vettel's in the hunt this year. So
exactly,
he's like 4 out of the picture. All right, so unfortunately, that wraps up another episode of Full Throttle. I'm glad you guys could be on to watch the show. And just you guys for a heads up, this will be every Friday at 7:30. So be sure to look out next Friday for another episode where we can have more topics to discuss. All right, guys.
Team orders.
All right, guys. This is Daddy, Garen, Joseph, and Armani saying life's too short, so go full throttle.